Okay, well done. You've done so much work so far in such a very short time frame. So now it's time for you to sit back, have a relax, not really much work on your part. This is time just to take in some knowledge. So I'll do the work, you sit back and just have a listen. So what we're looking at now is working within the VET policy framework. Now I've created just some of the web links you might like to go to, and you could spend hours and hours web surfing and looking deeply at VET. You're coming in at a Certificate 4 at an entrance level. Your RTOs will be giving you lots and lots of professional development opportunities to keep you current with your VET knowledge and experience there. But look, this is just a bottom line version of, a bit of a snapshot of some of the stakeholders there, so you can start to appreciate how all of this VET stuff unfolds. And of course, some of you're welcome to just go in and web search on your own if you like. That won't be assessed. But yeah, some people just like to get a much deeper understanding, and that's why we can differentiate this way to all of the client needs. So we'll just go on the web here. So you've seen training.gov.au, and that's one of the resources there. That's where we get our training packages from. So we've also got, has that gone right up to the top? This is ASQA, but I don't know where its logo's gone. ASQA, you may have heard me mention that in some previous webcasts. Now that is the accreditation body, so the registering body. All RTOs get audited by ASQA, and you need to undergo auditing either every year, every 3 years, or every 5 years. And that allows you to continue with your registration to be a training organisation. And then, of course, your trainers and assessors work for the RTOs that have been registered by ASQA. So the trainers and assessors work as a team with their RTO, their organisation, their training organisation, and together we all must ensure quality, and we all must continue to meet the legislative standards in order to pass the audit and stay working. So there's ASQA. You can have a good look around there. Now this is an association. This is another resource. So VELG is one of many professional associations for training VET trainers and assessors, and that's just a membership page. That is actually the one that I'm currently a member of. Look, there's many more. I just found it was fairly cost effective, and they're great. They're straight on the phone with any questions. So that's something that you can look at as a trainer and assessor, and it certainly helps to keep you current as well with your VET knowledge. And that's an important thing when the ASQA audits happen, is to be able to show that the trainers and assessors maintain their industry currency. So when I talk about industry, that brings me to this. There's 11 industry councils, and that takes the whole vocational sector. So because I'm in training and assessing, and because you guys might want to teach and train and assess in Certificate 4 once you're qualified, it would be a good idea to keep tabs on your industry bodies, because you want to make sure that you're keeping up to date with the latest industry standards. You've got to be current in the benchmark standards from your industry. So this is IBSA, Innovation and Business Skills Australia, and they have developed the TAE package. So if we just scoot down here, you can see under education, they do business packages as well. There's all of the information, all sorts of things you can go and have a little look at there. They've got some free resources, some resources to purchase as well. So that actually would be an excellent one to spend a little bit of time on. www.ibsa.org.au, and the link is there in our PowerPoint as well. So moving on from IBSA, this is another resource. This is the Flexible Learning Toolboxes. So once you're a trainer and assessor, your RTO will probably purchase learning resources or spend incredible amounts of time creating their own, which is what we do, but we prefer to do that for quality and to really refine and meet the client's needs. So you can see though, it's always good to have access to this because you can make sure that you're teaching to the right content, and certainly when you start it's a great idea to tap in. That's the National Vet e-learning strategy, and they've got some fantastic free resources there. So toolboxes, flexiblelearning.net.au. Now this is the National Skills Standards Council. So this is the group I was mentioning to you that has released the white paper, and you know the current standards, they're looking at increasing, you know, perhaps in the next little while, which would then pass into legislation where the lead trainers and assessors, this is a simplified explanation of it, would not just hold a certificate in training and assessment, but a diploma in vet. So, you know, that's certainly got some excellent information there. I'll just go, I've got their recent, I keep all my vet information here. Now this is the March 2013 newsletter, so you can subscribe to their newsletters, and I've just done a summary that was all based on the white paper information, which was really, really interesting. And you know, certainly at an RTO level anyway, you get a heads up of where your budget's got to go, where your professional development planning's got to go over the next year or two for your trainers and assessors. So jump out of that one. What else have we got in here? Back to Basics Edition 4. This is certainly worth your while. I'll probably stick this one. I'll stick this actually in your collection there to have a read of. This has got some good background information on the vet system, the Australian Qualifications Framework. Oh, now I've made it too small for you. There we are. So yeah, that is something I would like you to read, so I'll actually embed that. What training packages are, what the role of the RTO is, endorsed and non-endorsed materials. Okay, so we'll definitely give you that then to have a good look at. Okay, quality indicators. All right, so that one I will be putting in there for you. And then there's another stakeholder called, is it going to put it here, NCVER, and they do all of the research. So when we do the vet misreporting, and you know there's some other annual reporting that an RTO has to do, they can collect all of this data, and you know they tend to have a lot of consultation with organisations out there and see just, you know, how effective the current vet system is. So, you know, there's some interesting statistics there if you're that way inclined. Certainly more at an RTO level, perhaps. Now, the audit. There's a little fact sheet there I might put on there as well. The audit really affects, this is an ASQA document. This really affects RTOs, but trainers and assessors might be called in. You get about 10 days notice before an audit, and an RTO would know roughly whether it's, you know, every year, every 3 years or 5 years that they're going to be audited anyway. So there's just a bit of a fact sheet about the audit process there. What else have we got? Let's get into the NRT, Nationally Recognised Training logo. So as an RTO, you're allowed to market using the nationally recognised training only on your nationally recognised training packages that's on your scope to deliver. So this is more an RTO level thing, but certainly it's worth your while recognising that logo and appreciating, just the quality assurance behind the systems and processes and standards there. Now, also from a trainer and assessor's point of view, it's imperative that you never use this logo unless you've had permission from your RTO, and your RTO at least understands the rules around when it's allowed to be used. If it's used out of place, it can really affect the audit and registration process. So don't touch the logo. This starts to lead us into legislation. So, I don't know what this keeps popping up for. The National Vocation Education and Training Regulator Act of 2011. So that's there, that's available if you want to Google it. I'm actually going to bring you to another document, which is the standards for the NVR RTOs 2011. So this is just like an appendix document. So the standards, if we just go back up, I had it set on the right page and I moved it down. Part 3. Excuse me, scrolling. Quite a lengthy document. Okay, Part 3. This is the thing that will affect trainers and assessors in, for continuing registration within their registered training organisation. So, SNR 15. This is all around quality training and assessment, all right? So there'll be some questions based around this. So SNR 15 of the standards for NVR RTOs 2011, all right? This is the one you have to appreciate. Grab a pen and paper, pause this, write down SNR 15. Now let's look at all of the subdivisions of this. The RTO collects, analyses and acts on data for continuous improvement. So we, at the end of every course, as a trainer and assessor, you will be providing your clients, whether it's the employer or the learner, with a survey, and it's a standardised survey and they have to complete it. It's anonymous and there's a lot of different fields in it. Should only take a couple of minutes, but it's anonymous, so they can freely provide feedback, and that helps us gauge a trainer and assessor's quality of delivery, and also of course our processes and resources that we supply as an RTO. There's other forms of continuous improvement processes that we'll talk about throughout the course, and they're always available in your RTO's policies and procedures manual. So when you're working for an RTO, you will get, as part of your orientation, your staff induction, a copy of their policies which will cover all of these standards. So 15.2, strategies for training and assessment meet the requirements of the relevant training package. They've been developed through effective consultation with industry. If you go back and open up that TAS, the training and assessment document, that's the one that we have well and truly covered off 15.2 on. We've shown the history of consultation with other RTOs, with other industry consultants like IBSA, to make sure that we're, well and truly above the standard and the benchmarks, meeting the benchmarks at the very, very least. Staff, which would be you guys, trainers and assessors, all our facilities, equipment, all of the resources are developed through consultation. So the bottom line is, when you guys are unhappy with a resource, you let your RTO know, and they can purchase new equipment. I guess that's the bottom line of that one. 15.4, training and assessment is delivered by trainers and assessors who, now this is a very important one for you guys as well, have the necessary training and assessment competencies So that for you guys would be your Certificate 4, the TAE 40110 that you're currently undertaking. Now, it's not just that you have your Certificate 4 in training and assessment. You also need to be able to demonstrate that you have the relevant vocational competencies, at least to the level being developed. And I started mentioning this in an earlier YouTube lecture. So basically, when we were looking at the forklift driving, you couldn't, just because you've got your Certificate 4 and you know how to use training packages, go and analyse that, interpret it, break it down, link it, research it, maybe go to Flexible Tools and get a free package and go and do it. You must have had a work experience, a significant background as a forklift driver yourself, and at the very least have that TLI LIC 2001A or its equivalent qualification. All right, so you would need your forklift license and have had extensive experience in forklift driving to be able to teach that. So look, that's just one example. So this is why I'm saying it's not just your Certificate 4, you need to have your work experience behind you. So it's worthwhile sitting back for a minute now and reflecting on all of your fairly recent forms of work experience, because they're the ones that you're positioned to be ready to train and assess in. And then, of course, you've then got to be qualified at least to the level that you want to be delivering, okay, or be able to demonstrate current competency at that level, and perhaps, put in a recognised prior learning application together for it. All right, so that you can demonstrate current industry skills. So all of those documents that we're going through now, the NSSC, the membership with VELG, anything that can maintain your vet currency, that you're constantly being emailed, the benchmarks and the new changes of legislation and bigger and better ways of teaching and assessing, that's all important, as well as tapping into your industry skill council. There was 11 of them, and business and training fall under IBSA. So, you can research your industry skills council, just go Google it and pick, it'll be one of 11 there. Okay, so you need to maintain your current industry skills. One example of that is, say that you were training and assessing in IT. Now, the software resources, the hardware, that changes every 6 months, 12 months. So if you're current as of 5 years ago in something like IT, that may not really be able to demonstrate current skills. So, it's definitely well worth consulting with your RTO and negotiating what sort of professional development you might have to pay for if you're a contractor, or they might be willing to look at paying on your behalf if you're staff. But ultimately, it is the responsibility of the trainer and assessor to maintain their industry currency, not the RTO that employs them. Now, continue to develop your vet knowledge and skills, as well as your industry currency and trainer-assessor competence. That, is basically the full stop at the end of that. And RPL, when you're doing recognition of prior learning, that you're making sure it meets the training package requirements. So we will be doing a lot of work with assessing RPL and validating that process to make sure it does meet the training package requirements. So when we look deeper at that, we're making sure that RPL is systematically validated, okay, according to the rules of evidence, according to the principles of assessment. And we've got some validation forms for that. So we'll work through the case study of Susan with her RPL there. Okay, so look, there's some information. I really just wanted to draw your attention to that SNR 15 and its subparts there, because that is one that deeply impacts you as a trainer and assessor. So that gives you a bit of information about legislation. Your RTO will have in your staff induction other legislation, OH&S laws, privacy laws, equity laws, industrial relations laws. That all impacts upon your training as well.